Welcome to the Confident Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Anne, mama of two, holistic pregnancy and pediatric sleep consultant, and the founder of Empowered Decisions. In our seasons together, I'm here to help you step into your inner confidence from pregnancy to motherhood. Whether you are preparing to meet your baby or integrating into new mom life, this is a safe space with education and support for your journey. Join me as we raise the vibe of our motherhood collective. Welcome to the Confident Motherhood Podcast. I'm Anne, your pregnancy and holistic infant and toddler sleep coach and podcast host. Today, we're going to break down what is holistic sleep coaching and how it can truly transform your parenting journey. Let's do it. So before we can talk about the present options for improving your baby or your toddler's sleep, we need to go back. We need to go back to where it started and understand why that is no longer working and parents feel stuck. In our motherhood and our parent culture and communities, we've essentially been taught to believe for decades that the only way to improve sleep is going to come along with some baseline that you have to leave your baby alone in their crib to cry until they fall asleep. There's just this one way, there's this one option, and it oftentimes also comes along with attaching to a belief that if you want improvement for your child and your family, it means you're a bad mom. It means you're a bad parent. It means that you're selfish. We also have these ideas of why can't I figure out my baby's sleep? There's frustration. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with them? What have I done? And I know that I fell into that trap early on as a new mom of just genuinely having some frustration around why I couldn't improve my son's sleep, why I couldn't figure it out. And I didn't know much about sleep coaching and sleep training, but I had heard about Cry It Out. I had heard about these more what I would consider now aggressive sleep coaching methods. At that time, even though I felt stuck with my son's sleep, it didn't feel aligned for me. I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this. Ultimately, it's not our fault. This information and let's say more old school sleep training methods have been shared for decades as the way to get babies and toddlers sleeping independently. I've been a holistic sleep coach for the past 7 years, and honestly, not much has changed. There's still a very negative association when any conversation comes up around sleep training. And the struggle with that word, even just sleep training, really makes families think that it just means one thing. And that's what we're going to dive into today so that you truly understand that sleep training and sleep coaching actually can mean a variety of things. The good news is that you have options. And today we're going to talk about holistic sleep coaching. So there essentially just has been learnings. There's been improvements and other options that have emerged, let's say over the past 10 to 15 years, where holistic and gentle sleep coaching approaches have helped thousands of parents ultimately transform sleep in a way that feels aligned. When something is aligned for you as a parent and you feel good and you can commit to that process, what is on the other side of that? Of course, not only rest, but comes along with a confidence, a newfound confidence. And that is really what I always want families to be able to experience once we're coming out of a sleep coaching program together. The bigger piece here, and I see this time and time again, one, as a parent, you should always have the right to choose a process, a program, an approach that feels good for you. But the bigger piece for me is I truly want you to have long-term sleep success. We want rested babies. We want rested toddlers. We know how we feel when we do not have a good night of sleep. When our babies are stuck in vicious cycles of overtiredness and sleep struggles, they are not their best selves, right? And because of that, then we are not our best selves. It is much more challenging on many levels to parent when we are not rested and when they are not rested. So we're essentially at a place now that when we know better, we can do better, and parents deserve better. So when I'm kind of always weighing these pros and cons of making these decisions and helping families to feel empowered and educated so that they can make their own decisions, we have to look at both sides of it. Okay, let's look at the current sleep reality. Is this working for you? It's never my job as a sleep coach to go knocking on doors and telling parents what they need to be doing with their children. But we have to look at if something is not working for you, if something is not sustainable for you, the cost of that could be weeks, months, even years of sleep struggle, confusion, lack of rest. That has an effect. That has an effect on our partnerships, our marriages, our careers, and ultimately goes back to that conversation of we are essentially operating at a lower capacity, and that affects our energy and our health and our patience and our self-care. So we just have to get to that place where ultimately we are making a choice. Let's talk holistic sleep coaching and start breaking this down. I ultimately help to provide a transformation for mamas, for families that I work with. It is almost never just about the short nap frustrations or the extra night waking or the struggles in falling asleep at bedtime. It is about the newfound sense of feeling like a human again, reconnecting with your husband or partner, finally having time for yourself, feeling more confident, seeing your baby, your little one, wake rested and happy, being able to cope with all of their growth and development, because Lord knows they do not stop growing. They don't stop getting the teeth. They don't stop learning the new skills. They never stop growing. They're literally changing right in front of us week after week and day after day. And when we can bring all of those pieces together and have that newfound sense of like, oh, I've got this, that confidence as a mom and as a parent is a game changer. And ultimately, we are achieving that powerful transformation in a 2-week process when we're working together to achieve your sleep goals and ultimately have success. So what is success, right? What is this essentially going to look like for you? So let's dive into this holistic element of sleep. Now, sleep coaching in a holistic way is where we are assessing and considering all factors of your child's sleep. When truly is anything, health, wellness, business, relationship, truly ever one layer? It doesn't exist. So we especially have to look at a child's sleep holistically because there are so many pieces to that puzzle. I will commonly describe sleep as a puzzle where we're bringing all of these pieces to their puzzle together because we can never just look at one. It's never just as simple as let's get them into their crib. That's the problem. It's just the schedule. It's just the feeding. It's just the sleep environment. No, we have to make sure that we're looking at all of those layers together. Now, holistic sleep coaching is going to fall under the umbrella of gentle sleep coaching, and gentle is subjective, right? So I'm always very transparent with families that I believe this: when you're truly teaching 100% independent sleep skills, meaning your child can fall asleep at bedtime, they can put themselves back to sleep in the middle of the night or after a feed, they can put themselves to sleep for their nap, they can take a longer nap independently, that usually that is going to come along with some crying and some tears. The difference is, and I always promise families this, I do no crying in vain. There is a lot of crying in vain and unnecessary crying that happens when you're not looking at sleep holistically. You are just placing a child into their crib, leaving them solo to cry indefinitely until they fall asleep. And the problem that I have with that is, did they learn something? Did they? Or did they just fall asleep and pass out from exhaustion? When we are coaching in a holistic way and it comes along with all of the layers in support, babies are learning to put themselves to sleep on night 1. That is happening immediately, and that also comes along with parent support. Let's talk about that now. So this ultimately is where we bridge the gap. We bridge the gap from, I want my baby to sleep better, but I don't want to leave them alone in their crib to cry. So we get to kind of bridge those things and make sure that not only are we making changes that are supportive to a child learning and their sleep is improving, but parents also get to be with their child to support them and be educated along the way so that both of those pieces are together. When we look at the more outdated or old school forms of sleep coaching, essentially what we've learned over the years, and even just understanding baby and toddler development, and I talk about this a lot with newborn sleep, is babies and toddlers developmentally rely on us for co-regulation. And when we can still provide that while we are helping them learn to sleep on their own and without our aids, right? Aids can be holding and feeding and rocking and bouncing and pacifying and using the snoo, right? There's a laundry list of things that babies will rely on to fall asleep. It's natural, it's normal, it's what young babies need. And then when we come out of the newborn phase and we're kind of getting month 3, 4, and beyond, they can start to learn to sleep independently. That is a realistic expectation, but we need to do that alongside with understanding the pieces of their sleep puzzle, looking at everything holistically, and then making changes so that we can start heading sleep in a different direction, an improved direction. And the last piece of this for me, because I hear all the time, not only just from families that I'm communicating with and I'm going to be starting sleep coaching with, but I see this on social media all the time. I feel like I'm doing all the right things, but for some reason, it's not working. What am I missing? Like, I'm following the awake windows. I'm trying to put them down awake. I've shifted to when they're getting their feedings, right? And this is where, when we look at things holistically, sometimes there's some missing little pieces to the puzzle that having sleep expertise, having somebody that has gone through years of experience in working in pediatric sleep can help you find those missing links. because the missing links are major unlocks to changing the direction of the sleep improvement for your child and your family. So now let's break down the holistic sleep process roadmap, right? From start to finish, what does this look like? We are always going to kick off with a holistic assessment, right? We are not just looking, okay, when are they napping and when are they eating and how many times are they waking up at nighttime? I want to know about your child. I want to know about their personality, their development, their health journey, right? Any things that have kind of come up along the way, what their sleep journey has been. Sometimes sleep has always been a struggle, and sometimes sleep is good for a period of time, and then things took a turn. So we really want to kind of go back and look at the bigger picture. When we are making changes, we have to make sure that we are helping babies and toddlers get onto age-appropriate schedules. We should always have a bit of a range and a natural adjustment for them, because it is very common when babies and toddlers are experiencing sleep struggles that they are carrying around overtiredness. Their schedule is not age-aligned. Age-aligned does not have to mean strict and structured. We actually want to make it work for your child. And sleep is never one size fits all. So commonly when I'm bringing families on board and we're looking at the scheduling piece, we're commonly making adjustments. Sometimes the quote unquote age appropriate schedule isn't working for that child, and we need to make adjustments and understand those layers of how awake windows work to improve sleep. So awake window, age appropriate, we need to get the schedule aligned for your child. Then we need to create efficient feeding. And mind you, all these pieces are kind of happening at the same time. But we need to create efficient feeding. Just because babies are eating and gaining and on their curve does not mean that they are eating efficiently, not only to support, growth and development, but also to support better night and daytime sleep. Now, one of the other big points of differentiation from the more, let's say, I'm just going to keep calling them old school approaches, is you do not have to remove night nutrition from younger babies, so let's say under the age of 6 months, in order to get them sleeping. We do not have to rip night nutrition out of their equation. We can actually help them to learn efficiently in the daytime by making changes to when and how they get nutrition. We can also, if they have an excess of night nutrition, we can start shifting that to daytime, creating actual engaged feeds or feed in their nighttime to make sure that their ultimate, as we look at a 24-hour, piece of their sleep puzzle and their nutrition, we can make sure that things are happening in an efficient way. And that is always going to be supportive to improving sleep. Babies are very big snackers. This happens all the time, whether they're on and off eating throughout the day, on and off eating throughout the night. Even both my boys were breastfed babies, big time snackers, constantly eating. And they don't always wake up super hungry. They don't always wake up in the morning nice and hungry and wake up from their naps nice and hungry, when they're kind of always eating throughout the course of the day and night. So we want to make some shifts to help little ones feed efficiently. Then the biggie with making the switch to independent sleep is helping babies learn to sleep independently, not relying on the holding and feeding and rocking and bouncing. And if that works for you, cool. There's no issue in that. But if it's not working for you and you're like, you know what, I'd actually love for my baby to be able to take their naps in their crib. I would love to put them down at bedtime and trust that they can sleep throughout the course of the night. Or if they do wake up, which is natural and normal, there's no expectations that sleep coaching, sleep training means that we are training babies to never wake up at nighttime. I hear that a lot. That is not true. But ultimately, if you have that desire that I would love that they have that independence, that is what we are creating when we are holistically sleep coaching. We also want to make sure that any sleep environment, sometimes babies have one sleep environment or multiple, we want to make sure that it's sleep conducive and that it is safe. And that is something that I'm always helping families to do when I'm coming on board and I'm assessing sleep environments, is helping to make changes to create an optimal sleep environment and also make sure that it is safe for that child based on their age. Now, the last two pieces of this, which is what is the closest to my heart, is being able to work one-on-one with families, being able to get to know them, to help them with their child, to support them on this sleep journey, and to provide sleep education. One-on-one is a part of that conversation that sleep is never one size fits all. There's a lot of commonalities, a lot of those things that exist in many layers of this, but ultimately being supported one-on-one helps you take sleep to the next level and have that trust and confidence that you are going to have long-term success. And in order to have long-term success, you have to understand sleep, you have to understand your child's sleep, and you have to have the tools to keep them a good sleeper through all of the growth and development. We have teething, we have travel, we have upcoming daylight savings, we have illness, we have all these things that have potential, absolutely, to be sleep disruptive. But when your child has a solid sleep foundation, which we are doing through holistic sleep coaching, you no longer have to worry about when the next sleep bomb is going to drop, about when the next tooth comes, about when the next sleep regression is going to happen, because they have a foundation and you have the tools. Look, I was you. I am not exempt from sleep struggles, sleep frustration, sleep confusion, not being able to figure out your child's sleep. I went into motherhood knowing, like so many moms, that the newborn time is not restful, right? I was preparing myself that I would potentially even be waking up a few times a night for 3 months. And when you go into it with that mindset, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, I can do this for a few months. I've always been a big sleeper, but I'm like, I can do this for a few months, right? You're madly in love with your new child. It's not easy. There is nothing easy about adjusting into new mom life. I always say that we all had lives and schedules before we brought home this beautiful baby blessing. But at the end of the day, it's a massive life adjustment and it is not easy. It is a beautifully exhausting time. So I had these expectations like, okay, newborn phase, not so easy. But 4 months later, nothing was improving for me. Nothing was improving for him. And I actually felt, if anything, it was actually getting worse. And I had a girlfriend come over, one of my best friends, and her son, who our sons are a year apart, she had just shared, so her son was 12 months old, had just shared that they had worked with a sleep coach and got their son sleeping. And 2 immediate thoughts came to mind because I was struggling with my 8-week-old at the time. And I thought, 1, I'm not going to make it a year. There is no way. I was like, how am I going to go back to work? Nobody's sleeping. Like, how is this going to work? I was like, 1, I'm not going to make it 12 months. Number 2, excuse me, what? You worked with who? You did what? I had heard of sleep coaching and training, but I didn't actually realize that there was a profession. There were people out there that could help you one-on-one to get your child sleeping. And I thought, wow, that is incredible. Give me their information immediately. I knew that I wouldn't be sleep coaching in the newborn phase, but I needed somebody to help normalize what was happening. I wanted some advice and some tips, and I was craving that light at the end of the tunnel. And after one call with a holistic sleep coach, she was an absolute doll, I felt more confident. I was like, okay, I can start now to understand, okay, he's severely overtired. He actually should be taking more naps than he's taking. Yep, I was experiencing a lot of night wakings, but things didn't need to be heading the direction that they were heading into. He wasn't eating efficiently. So even just having that information, the understanding, the why of what is happening, which is also what I now, 7 years later, help families do, I was like, okay, there is hope. There is hope for us. I do have options to improve his sleep when the time comes. I also, because apparently I don't have enough going on in maternity leave, decided to go through a certification process to become a sleep coach. And there was just this part of me, like, intuitively that I felt drawn to that. I had worked in corporate America for a long time, and I'd always kind of been concerned or questioned, how is this going to look for me? Story for another day, but how is this going to look for me when I'm a mom? Anyways, I go through a sleep certification process. Fast forward, he's now 4 months. He was my first baby client, and it was incredible. He had never slept in his nursery. He 100% was co-sleeping with me. I was a human pacifier for 4 months. It did not matter if milk was coming out of me or not. He needed to be sucking on me in order to go to sleep. And half the time that didn't even work. So after the second night when he was sleeping, he slept through the night on night 2, and I was blown away. Now, this is the biggest change. This was the game changer for me. I had heard, kind of you get little comments like, oh, he's a fussy baby. And I may be a little bit sad, but he was a fussy baby. So I couldn't really argue that point. My son was a brand new baby. He was a brand new baby. He was happier. He was calmer. And I had 1 month before I was going back to work. And I thought, wow, I'm getting chills. In that last month, I truly got to enjoy him. I'm going to get emotional. I truly got to enjoy being a mom. And I made a decision for my family. I committed. It was aligned for me. I was like, holistic sleep coaching, sign me up. I did it. We had success. And now 7 years later, and I've helped out over 600, I lost count at some point, over 600 families, he is still well rested. He is still well rested. I now have 2 boys, and I did the same with my youngest. And they are game changer experiences that really catapulted and elevated my motherhood experience. So today's the day, Mama. Today's the day that you can take a step towards understanding your child's sleep struggles, feeling more confident that improvement is actually achievable for you. I don't sign up for that. Oh, congratulations, you're pregnant. You're never going to sleep again. Ugh, old news. We're not doing that anymore. I want to make sure that you head over to my site, which is empoweredwithann.com. grab my free sleep guide. It's a free resource, 3 steps to stress-free sleep, and it is an excellent place to start. I also do sleep audits for babies and toddlers, and you can hop on a free sleep coaching explore call with me. You can improve sleep. You can do it with holistic sleep coaching. It can be aligned for you, and you can ultimately achieve sleep success, and you don't have to do it alone, mama. You can have support. Until the next episode, lots of love. Whether you're a tired mom struggling with your little one's sleep or an expecting mom looking for empowerment and advocacy as you prepare for birth, I'm here to show up for you with proven strategies and education to elevate your journey. You deserve to feel heard and given the tools to have success. Mama, you do not have to navigate your pregnancy or sleep struggles alone. Head over to empoweredwithann.com to discover how we can support you. Confidence, empowerment, and peace are just a click away.